So let me start the recording. We'll share my screen. Okay, so what is managed table? Basically, this is the default tables of Hive. Okay, so if you want to create a table in Hive as a internal or managed table, so you just use a create table name that syntax to create a Hive table. If you want to create an external table, we need to use extra keyword called external to represent your table as external table, right? And I'll just give you the sample. Right, say example. So I say create table. You can use the if not exist keyword just to uh, just make sure you create a table if the table is not exist. So basically, if you don't provide this keyword, if the table is already customer table is already exist, it will just say the table is already exist. Just to avoid that you use. But okay, even if you use and if you create a table, and then it will create as an internal table because we are not using a keyword called external. If you want to create an external table, you have to say create external table and the table name and the column information. Okay, so that's what how the internal table and external table the create syntax differs. And first we need to create an internal table. First we need to create a table and load the data uh, into that. So basically, it's a data on a schema. So you create a schema, then you load your data. That is in internal table. For external table, data is available on STFS path, and table is created on the STFS data. So this is a schema on data. Okay, basically, you already data is in HDFS. You are going to represent a schema for it, and manage tables will store the data under the warehouse location warehouse location, or there is a HDFS directory which is user Hive warehouse. This is a default directory for Hive managed or internal tables. So, say example, if you created a managed table and if you want to insert or load data, that data will be stored on this location. It's going to be HDFS location only, but this is managed by the Hive. Okay, so I will manage respective table data is stored on this location for the managed table. For external table, anyway, that will be a HDFS path which you point to that. So when you get a table, you just say location of my data is on particular respective HDFS data. So that's how external table will be uh, defined or loaded. It will load the data. Not exactly, sorry, load. Basically, it will point to the data external table. When managed table, um, when the managed table got dropped. Okay, so if you are dropping a managed table, the metadata will be removed from metastore, and the tabular data will be removed permanently from the HDFS warehouse location or path. That means I create a managed table and I load the data into the table. Okay. Somehow I want to drop the table. Then when you drop a table using a drop command, drop table name, then it will go on the, so it has to clear off the metadata from the metastore component, and it will also clear the data from the warehouse directory. In terms of external table, yeah, it is going to remove the metadata from metastore, and it will not remove the data which is persistent in the HDFS because this is a different directory. This directory is not managed by the Hive component. This warehouse directory is only managed by the Hive component, so that it drop the data as well in terms of managed table. Okay, we have if you go to join concepts in Hive, so we have inner join, outer joins like left outer join, right outer join, full outer joins. Okay, so all this we'll be seeing this. Uh, Okay, so let us create a few tables. Okay, now both manage table and um, um, external table, and we'll try few examples. Okay, we'll try. We'll use this customer. Let me check this data. SDFs. SDFs. LS. Okay, there is a customer data. Okay, available. What I will do is so I will do two ways to load this data into this table. So this has customer data, customer ID from 1 to 7. I can ID and name and age, city, and we have salary. Okay, fine. So I'll run this table creation. Before that, I'll create a database called um, IMDb. Create database. So if you just create this database, okay, before that I'll show you one thing. 192. This is the name node web interface, right? Go to the browse the SDFS directory. Go to user Hive warehouse. You see, there is no a folder name or directory name called dm underscore hive underscore db. Right? There was before that there was one database called testdb where I had some tables. Now I'm going to create one more database called dm hive db. Okay, okay, let me here it created the directory for your database. Okay, now whatever table I create, it is going to maintain the directory for your tables as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a table. So if you look at the table structure, create table structure. So create table, and this can be optional if not exist, and the table name, and you need to provide the column information. So I use ID column. The data types are integer. For integer it is int, and varchar we used to use a string. There is a data type called string, and for double we have a double if it is a it has decimal points. It has other complex type map and struct as well, and we have a timestamp as well, or you can represent if you have a date time field. Either it can be represented as string or there is a timestamp column as data type as well. And then you can provide a command keyword to specify a few notes about your table. And then there is another keyword called row format delimited. Fields are terminated by space. Okay, in my data set each field is I separate based on the space, so I need to provide that, and I need to specify each line or record in my file. It's new line characters and the new line character. So basically, our this is going to be a text input format. So it is each line is a new line characters appended and stored as a text file. Okay, so all the things you need to specify. If you don't specify, then it will default. It will consider as a each fields are comma separated and lines are new line and the text file format is basically is a file format basically text input format. So I create this table. Now what I will do is um, I will run a load command. Uh, okay, so for load there are uh, two way you can load. Okay, one is if you have a directory in a local file system, your Linux file system. Okay, so I have a customer data here, right? So I can actually from either I can place in HDFS and then use a load method, or I can use a load command by pointing the local directory as well, the local file as well. So if you want to use local Linux file, then you have to say load data uh, local in path. Okay, and you specify the file of your Linux directory, overwrite into the table customer space, which means from Linux directory this file data will be loaded into this customer database. In terms of if you are having already data in HDFS, then you can remove this local keyword, then it will become load data in path, the customer data location in your HDFS into the overwrite into the table, right? So this is not actually, this should be order. So okay, now we'll load from local Linux directory. I have a file there. So let me before that let me query this table. Obviously no records here. Now we'll load the data. So it is loaded the data. Let's query it. Okay, so all your data which is was there in file, it is loaded into table, right? We go and look into the HDFS directory. Okay, that is this. Okay, okay. What I made a mistake. Basically, I did not use the database. Once you create a database, you have to say use database, right? I made a mistake. Show tables. Yes. Earlier, when I used say there is a database called default. That's a default database. Okay. The where if you don't navigate your own database, it will just by default it will log into the default database. So I created it there. Okay. So okay, now we'll go and use this database. Okay, and create a table. Now I will use the other method, which is loading the data from customer HDFS door location. So in the HDFS, if you see, uh, I'll just we are here. Okay, in I'll open another window. No root directory. We have data Hive customer. I want to load this data into using load command. I'm going to load into in manage table only, but I want to load it from SDFS. So I'll use this path. I think this is already there. Okay. Okay. Now I'll query this table. The same rows are there here. So now you go and look into this. I'll go to Hive database. You see a customer table and which has your data which is loaded here. Okay. So this is how you need to create a manage table and load data. You can also insert, use the insert command. I can just go and say insert into this table. What are the columns? I'll say ID, comma, name, comma, age, comma, addresses, comma, salary, values. Just provide. I think 7 was there. I'll just say 8. I'll just say Shivan. I'll just say okay, fine. I'll say 33. I'll say city as Chennai. Say salary as some 50K. So it is going to, for insert, it is going to generate a MapReduce job. For load, it was not using because more of file loading a file into your Hive table. It was not generating in MapReduce data. As insert was generating a MapReduce job. Okay, now let's run the. There is a 8th record which got inserted here, right? So this is how we do the uh, Hive manage table data loading. Now we'll go and create a Hive external table. The difference is basically, as I mentioned, um, there is a location on which you are going to. There is a data already in SDFS directory. Let me check is that moved or there. Generally, it will move. This is this one. Yeah, yeah, that's that is. I'll create a directory called customers here. SDFS, DFS, NKDR. Um, Customer, and then I will put load here. Now I'm going to use this location for pointing. I create external table and point to this location. Okay, so I will Let's see. Okay. But the table structure is almost going to be same. Only we are using external keyword. I just kept the table name as customer underscore ext just to differentiate its external table. Yes, we have already named with customer in our database. So just say show tables. Now we have only one table which is customer. Let's create a customer ext, and it says the path is not a directory. So we need to we cannot provide a file name. Instead, we have to provide the directory name. Okay, so I'll just remove this file name. So it is created. Now let's go and check it here. What is? One step back. Okay, fine. Here. Okay, external table is not forming the directory here because external table is will not store the data into the warehouse directory. That's why it is no directory here. Now, when you coming back to here in database, the table is on this. So let's query this. The data is there. Okay, so we had only 7 rows in this file. So all the 7 rows been loaded here. So this is how you need to create an external table. So you have SDF data in already loaded in SDFS. You are creating a structure and pointing to the table. Okay. Okay. So with this, I will wrap up today's session. We'll focus on the join concepts in tomorrow class. Okay. Is that fine? You have any question on internal or managed table or Hive component?
No, Pari.
Okay. All right. Okay, fine. Please ask your friends to join. Don't know what is the reason they did not join. It's fine, but yeah. Anyway, I'll just share the recording session, upload, and I'll share it. Please um, go through if you want to revise and ask your friends to check it out. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.